And that's on. Hello everybody, it's Slaan here, and we're in for part 3 of the Building a City Hub series. Oh, did I miss my live start there? Well, I'll say it again just in case. Hello everybody, it's Slaan here, and this is part 3 of the city building series, where we're going to build a brand new city hub in Alpha 19, currently just fucking around on the project map, but further down the line we'll probably look at a custom map as well. So we can see, if I just get my screens set out properly, bring the game up. So from where we were last time, what I've basically done is we've finished the connecting sewer system under this entire city block. I've already chopped this up into 3 prefabs, and then I built another one, but this one's a lot more basic, so it still connects with the pink connector there, but this is literally just a straight tunnel. And this was just so we had something else later on when we come to playing in the world editor. We'll be able to use, I think, 3 or 4 city blocks now. And it'll just give her a better idea once we see a few of them all linked up, where we're kind of going with it and how it kind of looks so far. So we need to go back into this one. So today's little project is what we actually need to do now that we've got some pieces that connect underneath the city blocks. We've got sewers that run down the streets. So now we need to take care of the corners. So basically, if we go onto the test city block, that's the one. So I've added, let's bring the ground level back, otherwise I get confused. But basically I've added some extra junctions, which we'll see. So these are the smaller 9-meter wide road junctions. So it's just a crossroad, a corner, a T-junction, nice and simple. And on this side, we've got some ways of converting from 19-meter wide road into 19, or splitting off onto the skinnier roads. There's a few more combos here. But obviously when it comes to connecting these streets, we're going to have some kind of corner prefab or piece underneath that's designed to connect with the different connections. And you can imagine we're going to need probably a custom piece of sewer for each one, you know, where we've got the system under the 19-meter wide road is going to need to join here, but in this instance needs to connect to the 9-meter wide sewer on 2 sides. You know, this is going to be a corner piece from 19-meter road and 9-meter road, so that's going to be a custom piece. So there's a lot of individual prefabs to actually make. So this stream, what I'm going to do is probably pick 2 or 3, and we'll make the sewer piece underneath, and then that gives us enough to get into the world editor, get a couple of streets down, get 3 or 4 city blocks down, chuck in a few of the pieces of the sewer that we've already made, which we're about to look at, and you'll see in quite a short space of time we can already show off quite a significantly big system, and as you'll soon see, quite expandable as well. So we've covered the roads. So basically, since the last stream, I've made all these pieces. I've made individual prefabs of all these pieces. So the street section is now getting quite big. Get rid of them. So we've got, oh, there we go, street 9-meter junction, 1, 2 and 3. So that's like cross section, what I was just describing before. And then we've got the same again, 6 of these ones. So thumbnails do quite a good job here. I've shown you what you've got. And this is taken from a north facing viewpoint as well, so this is the initial rotation you'll get when you place it in the game, which is also quite handy to have. So there's 6 of them. Sewer wise, we've now got these. So there's 6. Oh, this one doesn't have a thumbnail. Why not? So this is kind of an experiment. We'll get onto that in a little bit. So yeah, I've made about, I don't know, say 15 prefabs. ready for this episode. Just a lot of it's the same old sort of stuff, so it's nice to do a little bit of building with you and show you how I'm doing things, but it gets a bit repetitive, I think, just to live stream it all continuously. So it's nice to have a little bit of catch up in between videos and keep things moving at a much more agreeable pace in terms if you were going to sit and watch them all. But if we go to the test here, so I'm starting to toy around with the idea as well, and we'll definitely approach this idea a lot more of how we can link the ground area with the systems below. So this is just one concept of just a simple storm drain for, I don't know, maintenance purposes that directly connects in. And what I'm thinking is a similar system of we can build sewer tunnels that deliberately have open connections underneath the ground, and then in the city block we can do what we would do with a normal building, just cut a hole in it and then build a prefab design to fit in that spot that'll connect down below in with the system. So we've got to be considering things like this, but initially just getting the base streets, getting some sort of sizes and things like that set in stone first before we start fucking around with this, because as it is at the minute, this is going to be quite obtrusive. It's in a bit of an awkward spot, and while we've got plenty of space to put big things in and build around it, we want to be thinking with connections like this that are definitely going to have a surface point, maybe its whereabouts on the city block it's going to go, how it's going to interact with the streets. But again, we'll get more in depth with that once we've got something a bit more substantial to build with, because soon enough we're going to be wanting to fill the city blocks up and crack on with the fancy things. So are we good with that? So what I'm going to do now, I think, is set a build space up ready for these connectors. Yeah, actually, if we have a quick look at these, because I'm going to use, in fact, I'm going to bring two of them in anyway, I think. So I'm going to disregard that. And his starting point will be, we want the full streets, I think. Where is it? 106 meters. So for the first one, we'll get the harder one out of the way. We'll do the bigger one. So what I'm going to do is load this in. I want to give myself plenty of space because I'm going to delete these two bits of street out when we're done before I save it. Let's just place you there. Rotate you. Yeah, they're still not lined up. So bring that along one and down one. Yeah, that's right. So when these two streets meet, this is basically what we're trying to deal with now. How are we going to blend this together? But the other thing we're going to need initially is going to be an actual piece of road on top. So I'm going to do the cross section for the big road, and then we'll maybe do the cross section for the small road, see what we're like for time, and then dive into the world editor. 19 meters. Junction. And we want that one. So let's just slap this down. Load in now. and this should, if I line that up with the tips of them, there we go. So this is what it's going to look like up top, and we're going to deal with now what it's going to look like down below. So just by having them there as reference, we've got an exact idea on the build area, and because of the way we can copy paste and rotate and things like that, this shouldn't really take as long as what you might expect. So importantly, I think first we need a good way to cap off pipes and stuff. I think can just run straight into a wall. I'm not too fussed about. I'm just wondering, do we keep this style of wall and then corner it off and then send it straight down? Might we be better served blocking it off with a wall and having doors? I think because of how many versions of this prefab there's ultimately, like this section there's going to be, because of how many, I think there was 6 junctions on top that were this size, you know, so if we make it more of a room, like a maintenance room, then across those 6 different junctions we might make maybe 3 different versions, a few different layouts. I'm also considering the idea of actually making some storm drains as well, just putting some grates on and having some direct holes straight through. So maybe for people who are walking on the surface, if there's lights down there and it's dark, you know, that might be an indicator that, wow, there's actually something down there. And then maybe they can have we'll just have a simple 2 iron grates and a ladder or something like that. But first things first, we need to build a nice corner piece. So let's bin all that off. And I can basically copy that more or less all the way up to there. Do we do one more support pillar? That's the gap, 3. Yeah, okay, let's do a support pillar as well. So take you from there. Actually, before I do anything else, let's hide the bounds because that is going to get annoying. And ultimately, we're going to delete the 2 streets at least, so whatever we're left with is just what we need. But for now, we want the concrete for now. So I've got 3, 6, about 7 blocks to play with. It's going to have to cut in to keep the 3 block gap though. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that should be okay. Let's copy you. Slide level on. Copy you. Got that. Well, that's only 6, but we'll connect directly on. And I know this is going to overlap, but this is just going to... And then I can just get rid of you. Is that right? 3 wide. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll just grab some of those. There you go, I place some blocks by hand. That's what done for this stream. God damn it. Looks like we are going to have to do some painting though. You know, for the wide tunnel to wide tunnel connection like this, it might be worth to bring these pillars all the way out to the corner. I'm not so sure just leaving it off blocky and square is really going to... Because ultimately we still don't know if we're going to fill these with water or not. I did say on the live stream that Mad Mole had mentioned water and that they were looking at doing something with it. Be interesting to see. We are going to have to zap you and zap you. So I need a corner paid, corner concrete. Oh God. So many bloody... That's the one I want. Beautiful. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about tidying the railings and stuff off yet because we might still do something more funky with this one. Not too sure yet. Can definitely be done. Build that out. Oh, that one. So I'm going to leave that center column empty just so I've got a reference point to the middle of each of the streets at the minute. Because you know for a fact I'm just going to shamelessly copy and paste this corner around this whole area. And if you didn't know that, then you need to watch more of my videos. So we're going to need one of those, and then that is going to be one of those there, one of those. The unfixed. Beautiful. And like I say, once we've got a couple of these connectors done, it's not like we're going to just go and instantly build a perfect system, but we will be able to go and set up a big system and instantly be able to run one end to the other. And then we'll start to see the sort of connectivity that we can have. We'll talk a little bit more about the connections, especially to the surface, though, when we come to actually putting the sewers underneath the city blocks themselves, like using the pieces that we made in the last video. But for now, I want another pillar, because it just feels like we should have another one. But we actually want to get the pillar. I feel like I've fucked up on the size here somehow, because there's 3 blocks between them there, there's 3 blocks between them there. They were capped off with pretty much the same prefab, yet these corners don't seem to be lining up for what should effectively be a square. However, fortune would have it that that does line up just nicely. Yet it's 1 block off. Right. Now that would look fucking pretty damn perfect if we had another one of those pillars there. We've got the extra support. I don't have to worry so much about this big free floating piece of concrete. We need to shuffle all of these pillars along 1 block. So to do that, we need to move. We'll fix the pipes after we've done it. But yeah, we're going to pretty much move the whole fucking lot. And the thing is, these little measurements are really going to matter now, because if we take the time to do this now and have it looking nice, every single prefab we make for all 6 of the junctions that we've got up top, every single prefab will look neat and nice. You know, otherwise it's going to be 6 different prefabs where every time you run through, I'm going to say it, I just be, oh, fuck's sake. You know, that was the 20 minutes that I didn't want to spend. Right, so you put that there, so these need to go. I think what's probably happened when I've built the street on this side, I just haven't left myself as much space. So I'm going to copy that, and then literally let's just see what a fucking mess this looks like. Yeah, okay. And what the hell was that? Okay. And naturally we're going to have to do it on the other side as well. I'm just thinking, I'm fucking changing this, and I'm going to delete that. That's part of the street. So what I need to be focusing on is what's actually outside of the green area. Right, okay. Right. So what it basically means is we're going to have to, we'll keep this centerpiece nice and aligned and symmetrical. but we're maybe going to have an odd gap where it actually joins for the... In fact, no, it should be identical. Right. So then, big C in the house. What? Where the fuck did you get that emote? Is it a cat in a box? Where do you think you are? Twitch. Right. Go on. Right, now that looks better. And now I've got to make the choice, do I either bring it completely on or fuck it off? Because that's a very big gap to be missing one of those supports. I'm thinking we'll just bring it on. But we do it properly. Right, then got this one. And then we're like 3 copy pastes away from being finished. Well, not quite, but at least getting the initial shape. Copy you, delete you. So I mean, you're not going to notice that gap's 1 extra block at the end, but you will notice. Oh, that shit. Right then. So before I copy this around, actually, let's tackle a few things like lights. So yeah, I mean, they're everywhere, but they're not all on. And was that? Oh, I need to finish painting this shit as well. But yeah, we've got some nice big sections of sewer ready to link it all up. So in the later part of the stream, when we're in the world editor, that's going to look like some kind of wizardry, I think. Because we go from basically concept to actually having a big sewer system to look at. I mean, granted, it's not playable, but for how... Now that a lot of the pieces are like taking shape and we've got them to hand, how quickly you can just throw something together is really, really good. Right then, so the last couple of details, are they maybe on the outside? I'm assuming, yes. See, it's ideas like this, like the little rail in here, that's a bit outdated now, where we can't really stuff it into the corners, and that looks a bit... that in. But yeah, the Fun Pimps live stream was quite interesting. It didn't go on, the actual sort of reveals and stuff like that didn't go on as long, but they kind of hinted that Kinaju might come on and do a talk on Random Gen and the state of that. They weren't really ready to talk about it without him there, so. But one thing he did mention that sounded awesome was dynamic imposter prefabs. So like your distant prefab mesh files, they're going to try and have them update over time. So like when a building gets wrecked, it looks wrecked in the distance, which he was saying kind of opens the doors to the game rendering player forts and POIs and stuff like that as well. So your actual base is going to be visible on the horizon now. I can imagine the trolling on the multiplayer server with fucking names and big signs and stuff like that on the horizon. Now I kind of feel like we need to tackle at least one ladder in these prefabs as well, but what I'll do is I'll wait until we've copied it into an actual single room, and then we'll look at that. But for now, let's just see how it goes, and then in fact, how are we going to do this? Zap you there, we'll zap you there, then we'll just make sure that we catch it all. Remembering as well that we're going to leave, there should be a single empty channel when we're done here. This is how we're going to keep stuff right. Is that even a square? I might have to be a bit more careful about how we bring this back in. So essentially the easy way to do it is just to bring it to the side, paste it in, and then rotate it, and then we'll just copy that, and then we can delete, slide this back in, and we should just be able to line up perfectly. There's the empty channel, and there we go. And then we'll do it again on this side. Aha, that's interesting. Though once we delete the streets, we can we'll tackle the gaps and that sort of stuff. But then we'll just do that again. Paste it in, rotate it, copy it, delete it. Oh, fuck hell. Leave the gap, paste that in. And again, you see all the sins when you view it from all angles. So the plan is to finish this one off, and then we'll make a smaller version of this for the 9-meter junction, just so that we've got a way to link the big roads to the little roads, and the big roads to the big roads, and the little roads to the little roads, so that we can make it just a continuous chain. So between the roads and then the sections of sewers that go beneath the prefab, the city blocks, we should have a nice little run through. So get the last corner in there, rotate it the last time, copy, delete. And I think we might actually be ready once we've got this in to press the save button. Because you can't, I could save in between this, but I don't want to save these as part of the prefab. I want to delete these when we're done and just save the bits that we want to keep. And it would mean deleting them, saving it, and then repositioning them. But because this is symmetrical, we know that this fits on all sides. They've kind of served the purpose. So I think these guys can fuck off. So the game hangs, crashes, and we just lose 20 minutes worth of work. Oh, I just pressed J there, didn't just delete. Yeah, that's okay. Delete you. So I'll demonstrate why we want to delete them, because technically we've got our build and a separate prefab. We can still move that around. But with the bounds visible, if we save this now, what was the naming? So we just stick sewer on it basically. And this is junction 2. So we want X custom street 19 meters, sewer junction 42. And this is just so that the name of, because there might be a time where you just want to put the fucking road piece down and you just want to use the street level prefab, you don't want the sewer bit. Because the other thing is we've got the freedom. Let's just say we make a corner piece under here. You don't have to have the sewers running under every single street. That's not necessarily the intention of the system, although initially, you know, I'm going to test and plan like that. But you'll see there now the prefab bounds itself. Now, I believe I can still select and move this around until I reload the prefab, but we don't want fucked up things to happen. So first things first, let's set its groups. I'll save it into both as well, just so that we can find it and then we can reload it. Fuck me, I've got so many of these. There we go. And there we go. So now you can see it's a big single prefab. So just to keep our screenshots consistent, actually before we do the thumbnail, we'll patch the ceiling up and then we'll paint that, because it's still nice to know that, you know, what sewer pieces this is actually going to be good for connecting them. Have we got a base concrete block? Let's just fill it with all this, and then before I save it, we'll delete all of the, what is it, hidden textures things, touching textures. Forgot what they call it. And yeah, internal textures. So even though we've been just filling all those gaps there with blocks that are painted on one side, in theory, if I select one of these blocks now, if we watch the hotbar, we get another painted block. Or do we? Don't have blank concrete on this, so it's interesting. It is plain concrete, but it has the little paintbrush symbol on, which usually means that it's got textures on. Right, so we'll neaten that up. So this basically now, as it is, serves our purpose perfectly. So I'm just going to save that. Reload it again. Just to see. Yeah, I'm sure plain concrete doesn't have that brush on. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, it's quite clearly stripped the textures off the block, but still seems a bit weird. But, you know, we've got the cross section. Now, from here, it's quite easy for me because obviously I'm going to want a T-junction of this. I'm going to want, you know, all the other weird shapes and sizes, but we're also going to want a downsize as well, where we've got the wide entrance on one side, but we're going to go into the 9-meter road tunnel on the other. But we can't really build those until we've got this equivalent in the 9-meter size. But once we know what the connectors are, then we're pretty much dancing. So before we do anything else, now there's a bit of a funky thing, because I noticed if we take the imposter now, just a little, just to deviate a little bit and look at some weirdness in the game. So we'll update the imposter, and this is what it gives me. Now, it's drawn the imposter block as everything above ground, when really what we want, because what you've got to think is now in the distance, even if we move this prefab down and it sits under the ground, the mesh file, what you see in the distance, is still going to be placed as if it was captured as we've just done there, sitting on top. So like sometimes you might see a building floating 1 or 2 blocks in the distance, but when you get there it's fine. And basically it's because it's been saved sitting on top of the ground, and then the mesh has been taken. They've updated the imposter block, and it's just done what you're seeing with my road there. It wiped it out, just left space. But it poses an interesting problem for us because I believe we can still take this mesh file like this and then sync it down and offset the mesh file as well, because I'm not so sure if we move the ground level up. Because I mean, in theory, that's what's really going to happen. But if I update the imposter now, and then we show the imposter, we don't have anything. So this isn't as much of a problem for me because, like I say, I'm fairly certain we can take full-size mesh file, because what it's going to mean for us is when you're down in the tunnel and you get to the point where it's going to draw that prefab into this imposter, you're not going to see anything. It's just going to be fucking... Well, it's not even going to be terrain. I don't know what. It's just black, maybe. It's just... There's going to be no textures or nothing there. And you're going to be underground. It's just not going to work very nice at all. So if I take that off... So I think on that note, let's save the ground level back there. Do a proper mesh file later now. And then, I mean, this is something is more that gets tweaked and looked at when it's actually time to start building the city. We're still making the pieces, so it's worth being aware of how the mesh files kind of work and like the implications of how and what you choose to capture in them. And you have to forgive me gnashing away here. But we'll save that one. And I think we can call this done for now. So what we need to do now, is that everything? Did we do with, we didn't do a thumbnail because we didn't paint the shit on. So one in the middle, one on either side. It's just when we come to working in the world editor, you can't show every side with the thumbnail, but I mean, it does help. Because once you're in the world editor, it's not like you can just load the prefab up and like, no, that's not the one that connects on the back to the colour that I want. Again. Right, now I think we're good for a thumbnail. And then we'll move on and do the little 9 meter. So there we go. That looks all snazzy and nice. So let's basically do that again. Oh, it should be a bit easier with these 9 meter. They're a lot more closed off. These are definitely going to be little maintenance rooms, I think, as opposed to big open sections like we've just seen there. So we want the street 19, no, we want the street 9 meter. Street 9 meter, sewer 1.6, that's the bad boy. I don't think these have seen this one either. So we'll load these in and then we'll have a quick look at them and talk about them for 5 minutes because there's some significant things here, especially in terms of how we're going to connect this to the surface. If you can remember the prefab shown right at the beginning. Place prefab. And then load in and rotate. Yeah. So as you can see, this is going to be fucking really easy. But before we do any building on this one, because another problem that's kind of come up, which I hadn't really accounted for, is obviously I call these the 9 meter wide street and the 19 meter wide street, but in actual fact it's just the asphalt bit that's 9 meters wide. You've also got 6 meters of sidewalk on either side, and for the 19 meter street you've got 8 meters of sidewalk that makes up both sides. So when we're doing a grid system, if you can imagine, I can make a junction here that would connect to a 19 meter wide road, but it's going to be wider at the point, or the direction that that road goes in is going to make a wider point. So the flip side would be, I would normally make connections from little to big on the 19-metre road first and just design them. That's why there's 6 different junctions for the 19-metre as opposed to just 3. All of these little junctions are just the pieces we need to link the little roads. Everything else is tied to the wider one. And what I'd noticed when I'd laid out the grid, which we'll look at in the world editor, is if this was a 19-metre wide road and this was a 9-metre wide road, there's going to be a bigger 19-metre wide connector like what we've just made. And this corner here is going to be fine because these roads are designed to meet up. But on the other side, with this 9-metre road, you're going to have a, it's not going to work. We're going to have to shift the street a little bit further down, which means we're going to have a bit of a gap. We're essentially going to have another city block that's probably going to have to be something like 10 blocks wide and 106 blocks long. So again, you'll see in the world editor, me little test sort of layout that I'd done was basically a grid of the big wider roads, and then I had a few little linking sections that just started to cause us a bit of a headache. So I'm not too worried, but again, that will definitely 100% affect how I lay things out. And the beautiful thing with this one, right, anyway, sorry, we were going to look at this section. So this is a skinnier piece. I've got the same connectors in the same space in the middle of this road as we do on the 19-metre wide road. So when this is opposite the 19-metre wide road, we can join them both together with the sewers that we've already got. It's missing an end piece here for some strange reason. But I thought it was quite important to have one piece in the middle that let both systems intertwine. Because realistically speaking, the majority of the roads in the city away from the centre area are going to be these 9 metres. And this is, again, a simple copy-paste room. We've got enough free space floating around to potentially make and build into the area above. And then this just opens into the same tunnel that we see in the yellow system, which anything that can, look at this one. So when I say the yellow system, I mean any parts of the sewer that connect to a yellow piece like this. But we've just kept this main central tunnel. So a little bit of the same, but something different. And then this is just going to be ladders and rooms. So you'll get along. And then you walk into this little room here. And then you walk into the corner piece, whatever that may be. Now, the reason there's extra connectors here is these central pieces are either, if we look at it like this, can we see my cursor on the screen? Yeah, we can. So if you can imagine, there's a city block going to go into this place, and we've now got single prefabs that'll stretch from one end to another and connect to these pink connectors. Now this could be in one direction, and then have the smaller connections bringing these together into a cross. It could be single direction, and these prefabs could connect into single little rooms that are just dead ends. So it means as we go, this particular yellow piece, I might just decide actually we'll join directly to that one. But on the other side, that'll just open out into a dead end. So we don't necessarily have to have a symmetrical system. It might be that further down the line you want to design a dungeon style prefab like what we've got under the 19-metre road section. You can very easily, build a full dungeon that sits underneath something that just joins to one of these, and it's already interconnected in its own little maze of tunnels. And hopefully these will span a lot of the city area as well. But this will open the door to, if you remember the old style Slaan had an open sewer, things like that. Having all these heights and things set in place now kind of it gives us a point of reference to join in and make some of the more fancier systems. So we need a section. I'm just going to do the cross section as well. It's going to be the easiest one to put on. It's the most useful in terms of the demo when we dive into the world editor. On streets. And this is junction 1. So I'm going to load that in, and we should just be able to do what we've done before, line that straight up at the top. And there we go. Now I'm just going to hide the bounds again. If I remember how. So yeah, you can see I've kind of already coloured these differently, but we'll see if that stays as a permanent thing. That's just normal concrete roof, nothing particularly special. So if we take it from there, yeah. Then essentially that's about as advanced as this room needs to be. So I think making, like, sexying these versions up, making 2 or 3 copies will be things that I do off stream. We'll just make the initial one. Having enough to show the example off is kind of more the purpose, yeah. Right. I feel like we're overlapping a little bit, but we're not, are we? So first and foremost, we don't want any... You know what it is? I might carry this little slopey pattern on here. Or if we were to take that... And fancy door shapes. With the light and the door, I think, yeah. Double door. Now I know there's a gap there. I'm just thinking, just to eat a bit of space. Copy and delete. Oh, what am I doing, man? I'm wondering why is there more space on this side than there is on that. It's because I've just bloody pasted that door bit in. Right. Let's bring you out 1. Over there. Yeah, I'll have to copy you, delete. God damn it. It was there. Yes. Is that right? Is there a door behind the door? Yes. So, let's get one more of these in. And then rotate it the right way. Yeah, so essentially it's just going to look like there's no walls at all. We're just going to rely on either capping these off with solid wall in the event of like T-junctions and corner pieces and stuff. However, it does mean now we'll put some mortars down and then we want some supports up just... God damn it, what are you doing? For God's sake. It's a totally intuitive and very easy to use tool. So you know, these just need some pipes, bit of decoration run through. But essentially again, the bounds are quite clearly marked now, so we can just get rid of these bad boys. Put pressing J again. I hope I haven't just removed something. I can really imagine when people download my prefab pack and they load something like this up in the editor and they're just like, yeah, okay, let's not look at any more of these prefabs. Right, and let's get this one saved. What we're doing, this is junctional 1, isn't it? Yes. So we want next custom street 9 meter sewer junk 01. Get that into 2 groups, save that, save that. Let's reload that. Always reload your prefab before you take your imposter, because in the same way that it recenters the prefab, it won't recenter the fucking imposter block. It would have taken the imposter from wherever it was. So sometimes if you've been building something like fresh, and then you take the imposter and make changes after you've saved it, and then reload the prefab and it moves a bit, it can throw your mesh file out a little bit. But for the most part, I think we're quite good with that. sorry, slurping away on my sweets there. Right, I know I haven't coloured this one. We're not going to. Not yet, anyway. Just free me hands up. And a sexy little thumbnail for this one. So, we're about an hour in there, just over an hour. We've kind of got the 2 prefabs finished that we need, so we'll have a quick run through the other sections of sewer that we're going to use, because now we've essentially got enough pieces. We've got streets, we've got sewer sections that'll connect the city blocks and that'll join the streets. We've got the corner sections of enough. Well, the cross section will cover all the streets that we're going to use. We don't necessarily have to put something on all 4 sides, but the point of the demo is going to be we can start in one area and follow the system all the way around. So sewer sections themselves. So section 03 is the main middle slice, and this is what we built last time. So this is designed on both sides to connect to the pink connectors, which are in the middle of both streets, which we've seen this time round. And this is basically a combination of the yellow tunnel with a bit of a dungeon built into it. You can only access the dungeon from the other side, as it would happen. So you can imagine when this connects, you would follow through these doors. You've got the option of going down into this system, and good luck. Or you can come up over, and you've got the same option again. Or you go back out and carry on your way. Whereas the other side, and then we've got this middle tunnel. So we're going to think of these things here. These are either potential connections to other streets or starting points for other dungeons built with the same sort of system. Just depends what you want to do, really. But you'll see on this side, we come through the doors. Again, you can go down to the tunnel. Oh, what? Where's me? Ah, right, okay. So you come down into the tunnels, and then you can come back up. And that's what's different. And then from here, you've basically got a slalom. And you're constantly having to jump over this section. So if you fall off down there, good luck trying to find your way back. Actually, it goes around that way through the door, and then, you know, we'll have some kind of loot room or bonus at the end. But yeah, you'll only see that dungeon if you come in it from that right way. But basically, we've took this from the one that we built during the stream last time, and sections 1 and 2 are basically the cross sections, so they're designed to join to this tunnel here. So this one's quite tidy, it's a little bit wider, and I'm trying to avoid these chunks of terrain filler, but we've got to keep the system tidy. And this is quite simply, it's designed to fit with the little bit of an offset that we have. So pieces 1 and 2 will work with piece 3 to form the cross section. However, we're not limited to just using those pieces. They could be used elsewhere. But yeah, basically it just forms this tunnel with a kink, and it's the same, the side tunnels. The shape gets thrown out a little bit, we add some doors. But this goes on to show you there's our prefab. This is where I built that storm drain test. So at the minute, I've just left the doors in there, but I'm kind of thinking that we can make a prefab that's designed to fit into that. And that kind of happened by mistake because of the way I've ended up with it, for some strange reason, ended up with a loop. You know, which was just my wonky building, but we can capitalise on that kind of mistake and most certainly use it again as an actual idea. Because the main thing now, which as I'll see, is going to be just putting the final touches on bringing the two together. By that I mean getting from the ground level into the sewer and having it spread enough access points throughout the system. But section 2 is kind of the same. It just adds the kink. Just does it in a slightly different way. Now, section 4. Now, I believe this is symmetrical, and this is literally just this tunnel and these paths. The connecting doors are a little bit more randomly placed, because you've obviously got these two, this tunnel system here and this tunnel system are kind of independent to this system as well. So there's plenty of room to get lost. But again, this is designed to bridge perfectly 106 blocks between two streets. So when I was talking about earlier with the wider roads creating a bit of an issue where some of the city blocks might not be long enough, these are only going to work one way there. But again, they're just the starting point in one particular idea that was done over a couple of hours in a stream. We can put a lot of thought and time into these and really make them fit, do exactly what we need them to do. Section 5. So this is the same sort of idea there, but rather than do the full cross piece, we've got a piece that would be designed to connect. So we could potentially join this to section 3. I don't know if it's going to fit perfectly. It might do. We'll have to see. But for the test, as far as it goes, what we're basically going to do, using those 5 prefabs or 6 prefabs there, and the city block tests. Now this isn't going to have any... This is going to create problems because it's going to be a massive air pocket underground, but for demo on the sewer, we can use it anyway. Nothing will collapse in there. So we've got 2 full cross sections ready built that we can put side by side. We can then surround these with streets and maybe have a 3rd city block that doesn't have anything that we'll put a couple of the sections in, and then you'll kind of see the 3 sort of systems and how they interlink. Because you've got to think, as it stands, we can now fully sewer a cross section beneath and all of the roads around all of the city blocks in a city potentially. I'm actually wondering, could I just go to a hub in Naves again, because my roads are just as wide as theirs. The pavements and the paving slabs and stuff like that might overlap the prefabs a little bit, but I'm just wondering, could you go and just drop a whole bunch of streets down there, one of the hubs in Naves again, and see how bad it would look? Especially since I got rid of the raised curbs and I'm just using them flat plates. But I'm absolutely dying for the loo. So I'm just going to pop a message in chat that I'll be back in 5, and I'm going to top the cup up and have a wee. But I will be back very soon, and when I get back, we'll dive into the world editor and we'll play SimCity for an hour. Oh, just before I go, guys, as well, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. My watch time is awesome at the minute, but I don't get very many views. So I'll help the guy out, man, while he's making coffee. We've got no milk though, so we've had to have a cup of tea. See, the like appeal worked. Right, and so basically then we've got all the test prefabs that we need. So let's go and have some fun in the world editor. We'll have a little look at the mess that I made off stream and on the project map. It's quite funny actually when you see how quickly this little test area is going to fill out compared to the initial sort of city that people kind of first start coming to have a look at. But yeah, it'll be easier to show you and explain the sizing issues that I'll have with the city blocks when certain roads junction together, depending how they're done. It's nothing major, but if anything, I mean, a little bit of extra space on the city blocks is welcome. And thank you for the like. Was that you, C? 10 playbacks, 1 like. Whee! It only takes us about 6 hours off stream to prep for a fucking 2-3 hour run of interesting things to show you. But basically, I finished the prefabs off yesterday. I made that cross section. I divided it all up, and then I wanted to have a little fuck around. So you'll see the junctions are in, but none of them have the cross sections. Now it was never. Initially, I'd always thought I would double this road up, because if we have a quick look at this, the main Slaan Hatton hub. Oh, excuse me. No, we don't want to make a waypoint. We want to teleport. Full of wind. So this was kind of always meant in this particular map. You know, this was going to be me New York City or my main dense city area. And the highway runs in 2 lanes throughout the whole map. It's a full system that's designed to sort of not just like, oh look, there's a prefab. It's like, oh look, there's the highway. I can use it to travel from here to here, or it saves us going over the mountain over there, or you know, I wanted people to look at it like an actual thing as opposed to just something that had been built or some random piece of it just hanging in the middle of nowhere like you get with some of the wasteland prefabs and some of the wasteland decoration. So I always wanted to keep up. This is still the main road, the highway of the maps per se, and this was its cut through. And I'd always thought it would still be a good point to have like that kind of dual road, and I had intended to do another section. You can even say we have smoothed the map ready to do bridges. You know, so I had a lot of ideas, and that's the actual highway itself over there. But I'm not so sure now if I will double it up. And I suppose whether I do or I don't, it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to factoring in road sizes, so as an example, this is the 19-metre wide road on 3 sides, but we want to junction it off and switch to a 9-metre road. So if I show the bounds and get a street ready, oh nice, it should just drop you there, load into. So this street's going to line up perfectly with this corner. So we're going to have 106 metres, 106 metres, and the 106 by 106 city block will fit fine. But when I place it down, we'll place it, I'm going to get rid of it straight away anyway. But it means now on this side, this city block is only going to come to here. So we're now going to have this just empty space, assuming... I mean, I don't even know how it's going to work. If this junction's into a 9-metre road, that should be okay. It just means, like I say, depending on how we do the final street layout, or how you want to do your street layout, it's definitely worth coming into the map and having a little mess around. Because you don't want to come back later on to realise, oh shit, and then want to have to change this, but then that doesn't fit, so I've got to change that and change that. That's what kind of put us off with this whole method, is everything's made to measure. You want to work on a new area, well, right, how big is that area? What size am I going to work on? How am I going to chop that up into fucking pieces? And whereas here, it's, you know, we're extending the grid out. And we've still got control. We can still do the funky shapes and stuff like that, and we just got to be a bit more careful where we do with city blocks, that's all. But at least for these areas that are perfectly measured, we've got perfectly measured systems, so you can see that's already joined there. If we fly down. I'll just hide those bounds. So you can see underneath, I haven't added the cross section. In fact, let's add, because sections 2 and 3 should fit perfectly in here. Right, this is going to be weird, so we'll just get a block highlight. Oh, fuck no. Get a single block highlighted. Why can't I highlight anything? What the fuck? Right, let's get that out there. It's going to spawn north and east. I'm pretty sure it should already be rotated the right way. And we'll see how good the measuring is with pieces 2 and 3. Because I'm not too sure because of the wacky shapes of some of them. Now this, look here, we've got an extra fucking... How do I have an extra tunnel? Some random fucking door. Right, fuck it, let's just pick one. Section 1. Is that touching? Should be an eye-on perfect fit. The question is does it need rotating? I don't think it does. No, it needs brought down 1. As long as it's level, it will definitely need at least. Slide in this way. Ha 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 ha. So, I know straight away that this side is the pink side. This needs to be on that's the bit that needs to join to the street. So, we're just going to press X. Press X again. Do they actually lie on? Wow, that's actually off by quite a bit. That's going to need about 7 blocks. Just orientate myself so I can actually work out which way. So that needs to come left. He guessed 7, he actually done 6. I'd love to know where that fucking door's come from. I do not remember building that. 1, 2, 2. That's got to be it. Yeah, I've just made a nice big cavern underground here. Is that right? So that lines up perfectly. But that doesn't. Why the fuck not? That's the street. Ah, that's because it should be that. I bet you I've got the wrong sections. What was this one? Or 1. 8. That looks a bit more feasible on the yellow side, to be honest. That's 1 block to connect with the tunnel. Sure, does that just work? Yeah, boy. Right, and so... Ah ha ha ha. Interesting. Oh, well, that's going to throw people off at least. Not quite, though. Is that the right one? Yes. So there, I wonder if I've just actually made a wonky piece. I must have. Or I'm trying to put the wrong bit onto the wrong bit. It's getting to be a bit of a mess now. I tell you what, before we go and do that, I'm going to clean out some of these prefabs because the main point of the test was to get them corner sections in. So I'm going to delete the skyscraper for now because we don't need it. Now I'm going to leave the city block, but these corner pieces, I'm going to delete you. And you. So we'll leave the street in. We'll leave them bits there. It's just this is going to make a right old mess of the terrain, so we might as well get these out of the way now and then get the new bits set in. Ah, because yeah, we haven't got any connectors from 19 to 9. Right, okay. Oh, I've deleted the wrong street. So I can get rid of... No, we'll keep this one. We'll delete them two ground prefabs and we'll have another stab at that. So that means you. Can't select it. That's the right one. Just delete him out of there. Let's delete him. I think the issues I had with that prefab is because I've joined this north to south, and I bet you when I made it, this was east to west, which is going to be a slightly different measurement, which means those two yellow pieces I was trying to join might not be able to when they go east-west. So things like this, we're kind of going to have to tackle as they show, because the measurements quite clearly haven't been as perfect as I would like. So we'll delete you anyway. Now I've only got purple to purple connections between the different row sizes. We can't connect them at corners. But what we can do, so I'll put another one of them there. And then we'll showcase a little road on this side. Shouldn't take it too long to set up. Oh, we'll start behind. And this is the part that I like. This is the fun part. Once you've got the pieces, you can spend ages messing around in here, sliding things around, getting it just perfect. Streets, sewer, junk, or 2, I believe this is, isn't it? Quite possibly haven't saved this. Into the street prefab group. Right, we've lost on. Let's just save this. Right, I'm gonna have to put that bloody street back in. So it's 3 streets in a row. We want to go east and west with the long purple on this time. So spawns north and oh god's sake, it's going to spawn all the way over. Right. Yeah, this is going to clip massively through the fucking prefab when I rotate it. Is this the... Oh, I was going to say it didn't look big enough. It does look though like I've taken that tunnel to be from north-south. Interesting. Let's see if it works east-west. So let's just rotate that. That's just going to totally fuck with everything over there. And I've probably just wiped out my point of reference as well. There it is. Okay. Nice. Right. Maybe this isn't going to be too bad then. Yep, there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. So then, when we do that again, but here. I'm not 100% sure if these are going to fit if we do it this way. It should do. So just press X. So it's out by 1. Oh, well, that doesn't look out. I think I've took a wonky prefab here. Let's get rid of the bounds again. No, I'm just going to save that, just so that the prefabs we have moved around stay there. It kind of looks okay to me there. However, on this side, and this is because ultimately me. Hello there, Oak. But ultimately, because me fucking streets and me city blocks are an even number of blocks, I'm going to have a very... I wanted to try and avoid, if possible, having to make made to measure sort of things this early on. And it's because these tunnels are designed an odd number apart, but the other prefabs don't always split. Right, before I do anything else, I need to reload this world because it's getting glitchy as hell. But yeah, once you've got the pieces made, so I was just saying earlier on, once the bits are there to play around with, you can build a lot of shit very quickly. I think what I'm probably going to have to do is spawn some of these streets and sewers above ground, just so I can see what I'm doing, see why they don't line up. I was sure I took the measurements. So that's where the skyscraper was. So we've got none of the skinny streets in yet that are actually connected up. But now in theory we can walk from here all the way down, around and through. And then this is when you'll start to see like the sort of shape and the idea. So that, right, okay, that's the connecting piece, as is this. But east and west seems to be out somehow. I don't know why. So this is going to take me through the dungeon side, I believe. Oh, we'll just hop down there. So little things like this just to stop and pop out. I left these kind of open because we've got sections of sewer that are designed to go onto these that would just cap them off, either with a straight dead end that looks a bit neater than a dead end, or it might just close it off into a little room that still joins them in. So I think with the sewers initially, you'll probably plan what streets you want to have sewers, plan the overall sort of layout of your main system, and then you can just fly around in the world editor and just decide, you know, do we want something leading off this, you know, if the space is empty, or if not, let's just cap it off. If we come back this way, this should eventually and here we go. So a couple of things straight away. I forgot about the fucking pipes. But this is the corner section, the intersection that we made earlier on. Blends in lovely. Forgot the fucking pipes. But then again, though, you know, we've still got the space to sort of see. And again, all of these tunnels here can all just be capped off or extended and joined to things, or you don't necessarily have to have a loop or a tiled pattern. And hopefully it's not too cluttered and too intense to have running underneath like quite a substantial section of your city. But yeah, it's looking a little bit different. I think the more I think of it, this 106-metre street, I've got a funny feeling it's just going to come back and bite us in the arse. I've always found that the odd numbers are easier to work with, especially when so many things actually have a middle sort of row. Or we're working with like 9 and 19-metre wide streets, and I don't even know how I ended up with 106 by 106, to be honest. But we could probably trim that down, but it would mean shortening all the streets and changing things a bit. But you got to think, I mean, since I started this series, we're only on episode 3, and let's just say 6-7 hours worth of streamed sort of footage, and then probably about the same again in between the actual stream so far. So still at this point, we haven't invested that much time yet, really. This is still fucking around and playing with ideas, as far as I'm concerned, because once you've settled on these pieces, you're going to spend a bit of time getting yourself a nice base map, and then you're going to come on here and just be plopping fucking buildings down in streets and God knows what for, you know, a few days solid to actually fill it up. So, I mean, I'm putting things down in a grid like this. This isn't representative of the finished sort of city. This is just... At this point, you know, if we wanted to have a little grid style section, how could we do that? How's it going to look compared to something else? I might even at some point still try and join these two together. Play around with the monorail idea, but already you've got to see the neatness. You know, we've got what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 streets there. And there's like 45 prefabs that make up 9 streets there. It's good, and I do like it, and I've made some good stuff here, but I think being a bit more realistic and committing full pieces to single prefabs is definitely the way to go. Depending, but for most of the things so far, consolidating them all onto a city block or something like that. Or keep versions of both. So... I wanted to show the 9-metre junction as well. We've got some empty space. I know where we've got empty space. But absolutely nothing over here, just trees and fucking empty roads. Stick with the main road. So this is just the junction in the 9-metre street. One thing that would be nice to test though would be that big long section that just didn't quite seem to fit in. But we'll try that with the 9-metre road. Right there like that. So we'll just plop a junction down at this end. And then I'll demonstrate a little bit more, maybe above ground where we can see a bit better. Junction. Junction here. And then one more street. now east and west is just going to give a grief. Sure. Let me just dot that there. And so I think the issue might be then, if I was to rotate that 180 degrees, the centre of that purple marking shifts one block, which is why it doesn't seem to quite connect up at one end. So where I was trying to join it before, I must have rotated one of those roads where, for sakes of argument, one of them's rotation 1 and one of them's rotation 3. They just look like they're symmetrical almost. So this should mean that section that just failed before should work now here. Bring you on. We want to go on sewers. And it'll be section 3. And by some magical wizardry, it just fits. So we hope. You've got to remember, it's dropped this in over decorations and shit. Once we reload the world, this will all be fixed. Like, there'll be no gaps or nothing like that. I just wanted to see, was it actually lined up? But I think it has. I think fucking... Is that upside down tree actually inside there? Yeah, that's... Oh, it's 1 block short. Why are you 1 block short? Because that's not touching. Is it? Why are they 1 block short? That's very peculiar. It's definitely not overlapping into here, is it? No, it's definitely 1 block out. Ah. Ah. That 1 block is going to be the extra width. Or is it? It shouldn't be. They should, regardless of where they start and finish, they should still be. Or there's a very good chance one of me 19-meter wide street isn't 106. Maybe it's 107. Either way, little kinks like this we'll have to fix and adjust. It's better we get them sort of fixed and set now, or at least just know what measurements we're working with when it comes to doing the streets. The streets are going to have to, measurement-wise, are going to have to be spot on. I've definitely got my work cut out for us once this stream's over, at least. Right, let's save that for now. And they should tidy all the, like the cars and the trees should all disappear from the tunnels now. So firstly, it's not painted. Yeah, the pipe's okay. Can live with that. So like I said, these are the points where we could go into a set of prefabs whose measurements we know do fit, but if you look at some of these straight sections, just keep going down. Streets already. Do you know what it is? Maybe that didn't actually make any straight sections of the yellow stuff. That's a single piece. Oh no, that's a pink yellow. That's a dead end. So that would be designed to really go at the end of the 19-meter road. We don't have any of those placed here. It could. Ah no, it couldn't cap that off because it's pink. Yeah, I definitely need to go back to the test prefab that we've got. I mean, actually, let's get one of those in, will we? We'll go north and east. Yeah, so I was just checking to see if physics was active or not, otherwise we're about to lag out. So we'll just bring the full test city block in. I find very bloody category. Oh no, it's in the sewers one, this one, isn't it? Test 01. Load into. Yeah, this is a big ass. However, why? Ah, it doesn't have any street lights. That's why it's not quite as high. I'm sure I can just place it on the ground. Of course we can. So really we're kind of getting a little bit of a sneaky peek at what we're trying to join around. So this was the initial purple to purple section with the weird connectors. That don't seem to line up. They do line up, there's nothing there. Makes me think I should maybe have designed this centerpiece to carry on this center tunnel. But again, we can approach that sort of stuff. And like I say, these extra connectors here either further join into the system. So like that would be across another city block, or maybe it goes halfway here. It's entirely up to you. We've got a lot of room for just interconnectivity between the tunnels, and because a lot of it looks the same, it's all repeated, but not necessarily tiled and exact in layout. Because, I mean, let's be honest, you could, at this junction, cap off the street on two sides and just use a normal street there. No sewer whatsoever. And we might end up having to do that when we start introducing systems like a subway and subway tunnels. It might not be feasible in this amount of space to have a subway tunnel that cuts across here. So if that is the case, then we just get rid of that one and we'll cap it off, or we make something else that doesn't quite take up all the space. Now, the reason I wanted to load this one in though was for this prefab in particular, because this one raises another interesting point. I cannot believe I designed this tunnel to just dead end. Connect the doors but do nothing at the bottom. So again, let's start this here. And we want another one of those. So I'm just going to exit out of there. Ah, did I save that? Will Sharp find out? I hope you're starting to see though that the actual just placing of the buildings is the fucking easy bit. You spend all your time planning the shit to build to put the buildings on. Did it save? Did it fuck? Oh, that looks a bit nasty though. Interesting how it drew that there in the distant terrain but not the concrete. Then it makes us wonder, would that affect the view in the tunnel? Can't really get far enough away. I guess that answers that question. But no, for the most part, I mean, it's the transition between 19 and 9 metre wide roads within the same space and using city blocks of the same size. I still don't know what the fuck I've done wrong to make this miss one block. But it could very easily be a case of I've trimmed a block off when I've copied it over without noticing. Which wouldn't surprise us, to be honest, as kind of seeming like the most likely culprit at this point. But anyway, hopefully yous have had a good look now, because I mean, I know we're only 3 videos into the series on city building, which is quite a big task in itself, but you know, hopefully yous are starting to see where I'm coming from when I say, you know, I've been doing my prep, don't worry, we're not building from scratch, it's just we're going to make a few little ideas that are going to blend together and make a city fuller. Interesting as well. Why does that seem like it's out? Yeah. I need to finalise some measurements and then really crack down, get these initial street sizes and city block sizes sort of grilled out. Because, like I say, we're about, from starting at the beginning, 12 hours max, 13 hours max in. It's and we've got 20 odd extra prefabs that we didn't have before, so even if this system didn't work or didn't fail, there's still some stuff that could be used for some things. I mean, even now, if you wanted to incorporate a sewer-themed dungeon into the game itself, break up one of these streets. Just make it a little bit less like it's designed with these neat paving slabs, make it a bit more rugged and overgrown. And then, I don't know, make a tunnel or a hole, and this just becomes the starting point for you to make a little prefab that just, it doesn't have to be that big. And that could be just drop down into the middle of a city in Navezgane, you know. If you had sleepers and all these little stubby points, I mean, like, look, like, oh, I haven't got none of the yellow bits. I need to make prefabs of all the yellow size sections. So basically for this size tunnel, I've got like cross sections, corners, a few different variants of a dead end room. And you could do the same for all the joins. Who's to say that these purple connectors in the middle of the street have to directly connect to something on the opposite side or even in the middle? You know, you can be as sort of copy-paste or as unique as you want. I mean, ultimately, you would have to cap all of these off, otherwise they're just going to look kind of like that. Just terrain, which is going to look a bit off. But they could be the starting point of some quite interesting dungeons or underground prefabs. And we've still got to tidy them up, make little lived-in areas where all the little cracked ends were and things like that. Just busy sucking on me fizzy watermelon. So yeah, I've got a few ideas what to do. I'm not sure where we'll be at next episode, but we're still making good forward progress. And then I think maybe when we get 5 or 6 episodes in, I'll refresh the downloads, zip up the latest copies, just so people can stay up to date. Or you'll have all these new pieces that aren't in the original pack. But the download links are in the description. Everything's over on the official forums on the Slaan thread there. So yeah, hopefully these are starting to see how we can start to use this stuff from the big messy, where is it? I hope these are starting to see some of the issues that are starting to crop up now and some of the issues that still may come up. It's not all plain sailing, especially if I kind of get my measurements right. But no, we are making progress, and I do have a plan. I would say that it's I don't have a layout in particular planned, but I want to have a bunch of streets and sections of sewer and bits that can work just regardless, so that I can keep my options open at this point. Because you've got to think, it's nice when you commit to a particular layout, but then you're committed to the layout. So before we get to this point, you know, I'd like to be able to be shifting city blocks around here. But if you wanted to even move this hub, I mean, like I say, that's not even all of the prefabs there. We haven't got any of the combo pack stuff shown. There's a whole bunch of custom prefabs that I need to re-download and see if there's 19 versions of them. Alpha 19 versions of them, I should say. I'm pretty sure the combo pack's up to date. But I will, when we get ready and we get to the point where we want to start throwing buildings in and we want to start filling streets up, I think I'll probably do a stream just on where I've been going to harvest all my prefabs from. And then maybe we'll get all the links to everybody else's packs. We'll have a little look at what I particularly like about them, what the uses that I find for them. Because obviously a lot of prefab packs that people make are more like the combo pack, where they're designed to populate a randomly generated world. I know Nitrogen works with the combo pack. I know Pill with his prefab pack has some kind of shitey copy over into Nitrogen, so Nitrogen can use all of his stuff as well. But then you do have other people like Pill who've made things like me, where they're not really designed to be spawned in the random world mixer. They're just props and decorative things that you would put in via the world editor, or you would use in a prefab build. But I'm happy we've got the connectors done. So between now and the next time, I'll probably say I'll make a few versions of these, maybe make all of the versions of the different roads. Because what we are kind of getting to the point now where we'll switch over a bit more to the world editor and just play around with the different layouts, reload the map, play around with the layouts, reload the map, and play around with the layouts. There's going to be a lot of that shit going on. There always is. But No, the base collection of pieces is looking quite nice. I think I've nailed the issue with the highway, sucking the terrain up, and possibly a few other things, so I need to test that. And that's pretty good, because if we can fix that problem with the highway, then I don't need to do nothing with it as of now. Replace the fucking wrecked cars, because all of them are changed. But what I think when it comes to the highway, rather than change or do anything to the blocks that I've got, I'll make some fresh copies, so there's a bit more variety. I think it'd be nice to have about 10 or 15 different sections to choose from, all with different things on. But me depressing cup of tea, not coffee, is getting cold now, and I'm starting to get a bit hungry. So I'll say thank you very much to everybody who's came in and watched. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the videos around. I'll say it again, I get really good view time. People tend to tune in and hang around for a little while, but not as many people are tuning in. Even less are liking, and even more or less again are subscribing. So do a guy a favour, I'm building you a goddamn city. But until the next time, I shall. I don't even know where to start with the shit that I've got to do now. This is what I like about these streams. I get to show you a bit of stuff and build myself a fucking to-do list. But yeah, while I'm cracking that on, I'll leave you to it, and I'll catch up with you next time. Laters, man.